it is immediately, but in everything a student participates in, they're learning a skill set. They're getting an extra tool to add to their toolbox, an experience that is in addition to their academic experience, which makes them more well-rounded and more marketable. And so regardless of what that activity is, every student needs to be involved in something. And parents need to encourage, I would say, encourage their students to be involved in something. And it's not an option. At least in my house, it's definitely not an option. You have to be doing something else. And the reason for that is because you're going to learn so much more than we can just teach you by ourselves, by word of mouth, or what you'll learn in the classroom. And all of that makes you more marketable. Everything we're doing and the direction in which our country is going and our world is about competition. You have to set yourself apart from that other individual. And so for us, since I have elementary school age children, that starts now with embedding in them that sense of trying to invest in themselves, and that everything they do can impact something along the line in the future. And so I strongly encourage parents, it really doesn't matter what it is. Allow your student to be involved in something so that they can have something else to add to that resume to say that I have learned a skill set from this.
And then, with me, my kids, they won't tell me when club day is. When do you sign up for club day? They tell me, oh, Mom, I missed the deadline. So what I need to do as a parent, and what I encourage other parents that may have experience at, call the office. Find out when they're going to be signing up for clubs. Go on the website. Now, I go on the website. When I pick a new school for my kids to go to, I go to that website. I see what they have to offer as far as clubs and other activities. What do they have to offer as far as sports? Because I want them to see, and I make them sit down with me. Look, pick out some clubs. But Mom, I missed club day. Okay, so I got you next year.
Yeah.
I'm call the school and find out. Yeah. So, parents, when they're filling out these applications, again, they're going to ask, what activities are they involved in? What other skills does this, child possess? And financial aid and scholarships. How early should they start applying for scholarships? Where to look? Because a lot of times there are scholarships out there for just, can you write your name on the line straight?
Yes.
We'll give you $500 or something like that. So
there are. And, it's never too early to start. I am not qualified to give you every single scholarship and applying for those. You can definitely use your guidance counselor as a resource in schools. However, they don't know everything as well. So they are there to support you through that process, but it is the responsibility of the parent and the student to Google them and look for those deadlines and what the application requirements are, because some you may be able to apply for as soon as 9th grade year. You never know. In addition to, these scholarships are outside of the post-secondary scholarships. So all money, free money that a student can get is awesome. So if they're looking early enough, they don't necessarily know what college they want to go to, look at those outside scholarships. Coca-Cola and all of these big organizations have those types of scholarships, but there are also a lot of small ones that they can take advantage of. You just need to Google things like scholarships 2019, 2020, whatever school year it is. And it'll bring up options for you. And then your guidance counselor can assist you with completing those applications and getting all of the documentation that you need. When you decide which college you want to go to, start talking to that admissions counselor as well as their financial aid person to see what's available for you in order to have extra funding that you can apply for on the onset. So that way you can be getting funds from both sides of those. And now the other thing that I would encourage that we've come across is, if your student is getting funding from outside of a school as well as in school, be sure you also talk to that financial aid person, whomever they may be, as to how they provide funds. What happens to those extra funds that a student may have that's coming in that let's say tuition, books, fees, everything is paid and they have a credit. Do they write that child a check for that credit, or does it roll over to the next year? How do they distribute those funds? Because that's important information. You need to be able to keep up with those extra funds. And if your child is supposed to have money in their pocket, how are they going to receive that extra money?
That is a great question. And then another thing I want to add to that, being a kid that got those extra funds,
Yes.
parents, you need to have a conversation with your kids to help them. Set it aside in a savings account for them. Don't allow your child who may not be, financially sound to receive thousands of dollars, and then they go blow it. And then they're calling you. And there's nothing wrong with having parents that you can call that can bail you out. But if you can help them establish savings accounts and putting that money maybe in some stocks or something along those lines that's going to benefit them in the long run, definitely, have that conversation, because, nobody had that conversation with me.
Exactly.
And I, when that money came in,
it went out.
It went out. It went out, and
Yes.
it went out quickly.
Yes.
So I appreciate you sitting down with us and talking with us. Again, Miss Kristi is an assistant principal here in the Mobile area. Just a wealth of information. Is there anything else that you would like to speak with parents about to make sure that they're in tune? Okay, how early should they start that conversation, by the way, with the guidance counselor?
Well, you can start it the student's freshman year, but the 12th grade counselor is really the counselor on the financial aid side that'll be able to have those types of conversations. But the preparing to get there, that's 9th, 10th, and 11th grade years, you definitely want to start having those conversations with the 9th grade counselor as to where their student is and where they want to go. And the schools also have a position now called an academy specialist. This is a person that it is their business to know post-secondary and business in addition to education. So they would be a wealth of knowledge for that parent and student with helping navigate that high school career experience as well.
Okay, excellent. I did not know that.
Yes.
We're going to pretty much end this show for today. I wanted to do a bonus show because, again, with things changing now and you're having to apply for signature academies to get into high school, colleges are looking at students much earlier. It's a highly competitive field out there now when you're applying. You may have 15 kids all applying for the same scholarship with pretty much the same qualification, same background, and how can you stand out? So I thought this show was very important to have to help parents know, because a lot of us are operating based on what we went through at their age. And, things have changed so drastically. My kids, I remember my son was in the 4th or 5th grade, and he said, "Mom, I need help with my lemonade stand project." And I said, "Lemonade stand project? Let me see what you got." Basically, they were doing business plans, something I did in grad school.
Yes.
They were doing a business plan, and they had to talk about what they were going to do for marketing. They had to talk about how much they were going to spend on their products, how much their profit was going to be. And I said, this is a business plan.
Yep.
They're doing PowerPoint presentations in elementary school. They're introducing trigonometry and algebra and small concepts, but they're introducing that now in elementary school, something we didn't even have to deal with until we got to high school or college, depending on what you were studying. So, I think it's really important that parents, become more in tune, especially as you get to the high school level, because there's so much that we need to make sure that we're helping educating our children on to prepare them for the next level. It's more than just go to school, make the grades, do your chores, you're going to be all right. You need to make sure that if they're not getting financial education, with school, that they're getting it outside of school.
Exactly.
I noticed that, my child transitioned a couple of years ago to Magnet program. And in the Magnet program, they talk about savings, they talk about budgeting, and they talk about, these things that they're not really talking about in the public school system. So I had to take it upon myself because my son is a social butterfly. He doesn't like to do homework. He don't like to study. He's the child I have to stay on. So I said, well, Timothy, you're getting ready to graduate in 4 years. I said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to help you. When we go to the grocery store, I want you adding up. We're going to budget. I want you looking at prices. I want you to say, okay, I got X amount of dollars. I need to go in here and spend this amount or less.
Yeah.
Not over. I need to start getting your mind prepared. So when you go off to college, you're not, just thrown out there and you have no idea what's going on.
Exactly.
So I'm working with him now because I know Kay is prepared because she, went through the magnet program and they talked about this in detail. But I'm getting Tim prepared.
Yeah.
Because it's important.
And they do have that in the public schools, and they started in the 9th grade. But the problem is kids are not there at that particular time. Their mind is not there. Okay. So the fact that you are now doing that with your son in your personal time, that only reinforces or puts emphasis on that concept. But in high school as a 9th grader, why do I need to talk about budgeting or need to look at credit or any of that kind of stuff? Because that doesn't apply to me just yet. But having those kind of conversations at home and doing those things at home reinforces the types of instruction that they've been provided. They just didn't see an importance in it at that particular time. So, and the last thing that I would strongly encourage parents is to don't think that when they get to high school and even middle school, we're seeing it in middle school, that your job is done. Every phase.
I still got stuff to do?
Yes, you do. Every phase, children need parents. They need the guidance. They need the support. They need the push. And so any impact that you can have on your child at each of these stages, we in the school system would greatly appreciate, because they do need that support, not only from the schools, but they need it at home as well.
Awesome. Well, this has been another great episode of the Color Outside the Box podcast. Miss Kristi, thank you for being with us all month long, sharing with us your experiences, your knowledge. I know that it has blessed a lot of people, and I look forward to see Rely go on.
Thank you.
And be one of the top companies here in the city. Guys, stay tuned. Next week, we're coming with a new episode, a new guest. Make sure you're tuned in to the Color Outside the Box podcast on Spreaker, on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, on Google Podcasts, on CastBox. It's a variety of platforms out there, and tell others about it. Come in, let us know what you think about the shows, and make sure you tune in next Monday at 7 a.m. Color Outside the Box is a podcast series that focuses on creating a better you. Whether it's advice about family, relationships, raising children in this technological world, marriage, or careers, we seek to find the answers to help you live your best life. So start your Monday morning off right with me, your hostess with the mostest, Princess Miller, on Color Outside the Box right here on iTunes and everywhere podcasts can be heard.